Yo, what is up, guys? So, as you guys know, both Anthony Rumble Johnson and Yoel, the Soldier of God Romero, have just signed contracts for Bellator MMA. Yoel Romero just recently got cut from the UFC following 3 straight losses to Robert Whittaker by split decision, Paulo Costa by unanimous decision, and then Israel Adesanya by unanimous decision. He was supposed to be fighting Uriah Hall in a main or co-main event, but that fight fell through. So the UFC decided to cut Yoel Romero, who at the time was a top 5 middleweight fighter in the world. And then for a while there, Bellator MMA was like, I don't really think we should sign Yoel Romero, because they were trying to be not the type of company just to get the people that the UFC just cuts. But a couple of weeks after that, they were like, all right, fine. We're going to sign Yoel Romero to a couple fights inside of Bellator MMA. And Yoel Romero joined Bellator MMA. And guess what happened right after that? Anthony Rumble Johnson signed a contract to Bellator MMA after a 3-year-long layoff since his last fight against Daniel Cormier inside the UFC. That fight 3 years ago in 2017 was for the light heavyweight championship. He lost a fight by second round rear naked choke submission and has not had a pro MMA fight since. So both of these fighters look like they're going to be fighting each other because Yoel Romero is going from middleweight to light heavyweight, and I believe Anthony Johnson is going to be fighting at light heavyweight. So there's a very, very good possibility that these two fighters end up fighting. And guess what Yoel Romero just said yesterday? Yoel Romero said there is a 90% chance that he fights Anthony Johnson in his Bellator debut. We're not really sure when that's going to happen. Maybe in May, June, somewhere around the middle of 2021. But Yoel Romero most likely will be making his Bellator debut against Anthony Johnson. Anthony Johnson trying to come back after that tough loss 3 years ago against Daniel Cormier. This should be an amazing fight. It's obviously going to be a main event. And the betting odds have actually already been counted. The betting odds for this fight are currently minus 175 for Yoel Romero. Then Anthony Johnson is currently sitting around plus 150 as the slight underdog to win the fight. So those are the betting odds for this fight. Should be a very, very interesting light heavyweight fight. This is the first time Yoel Romero has become a light heavyweight since his Strikeforce days. So that is absolutely insane. And Yoel Romero did start his MMA career back in 2009. Started with 4 straight wins, lost his next fight inside of Strikeforce by second round knockout to Rafael Cavalante. Got inside the UFC in 2013. Got a first round flying knee KO win over Clifford Starks, who was supposed to fight Derek Brunson, then Brian Houston, but both of those fights ended up falling through. Then he fought Ronnie Marquez instead, won the fight by third round knockout, got a third round TKO win in his next fight against Derek Brunson in 2014. Got a decision win over Brad Tavares, a third round knockout win over Tim Kennedy. Was supposed to fight Ronaldo Souza in his next fight, but ended up fighting Lyoto Machida instead in a main event at UFC Fight Night 70, and ended up winning the fight by third round KO from elbows. Won his next fight against Ronaldo Souza by split decision. Got a third round flying knee KO win over Chris Weidman in his next fight. Got a shot at the interim title against Robert Whittaker. Lost a fight in a very, very close fight by unanimous decision. Came back after that loss to Robert Whittaker with a third round knockout over Luke Rockhold for the interim championship. Got another shot at Robert Whittaker for the belt. Lost that fight by split decision. And then ended up losing his next fight after that as well to Paulo Costa by unanimous decision. Whoever won that fight would have got a title shot against Israel Adesanya, but Paulo Costa, even though he won that fight against Yoel Romero, was not offered the UFC fight for the UFC championship because Paulo Costa ended up getting injured, had to pull out of the fight. So guess what happened? Yoel Romero stepped in back in March to fight Israel Adesanya, but sadly ended up losing the fight in a very, very back and forth fight. No, I'm just kidding. It was the most boring fight I've ever seen in this middleweight division. Then Yoel Romero ended up losing that fight by unanimous decision, and he looks to come back with a nice win here inside of Bellator against Anthony Johnson in this fight. Alright guys, so you guys might be thinking that Yoel Romero is probably younger than Anthony Johnson, as Anthony Johnson just retired from MMA 3 years ago, but guess what guys? Yoel Romero is currently 7 years older than Anthony Johnson. That is absolutely insane. Yoel Romero is currently 43 years old. He was born back in 1977. Anthony Johnson is only 36 years old. That is just crazy to think about, that Yoel Romero is that much older than Anthony Johnson. But that's absolutely insane. Anthony Johnson, 22-6. He actually started his career back in 2006 with 3 straight wins. Got a shot inside the UFC in his 4th ever pro MMA fight. Won the fight by first round knockout in 13 seconds seconds of that very first round. Lost his next fight to Rich Clemente by second round rear naked choke submission. Came back with a first round knockout win over Thomas Spear in just 51 seconds of that very first round. Lost his next fight to Kevin Burns as he ended up getting an eye injury in that third round. Came back on the Ultimate Fighter 8 finale against Kevin Burns again and won that fight by third round head kick KO. Got a first round knockout in his next fight, a first round knockout in his next fight as well. But in his next fight against Josh Koscheck, ended up losing the fight by second round rear naked choke submission. Came back with a decision win over Dan Hardy, a first round head kick KO win over Charlie Brennan, but lost his next fight to Vitor Belfort by first round rear naked choke submission, and that is actually where he decided to leave the UFC for a while. Went into Titan FC, got a decision win over David Branch, a second round knockout win over Esteves Jones, went into Extreme Fight Night, got a second round head kick KO win, went over to WSOF, where he got a first round knockout win over DJ Linderman, a unanimous decision win over Andrei Arlovsky, a first round knockout win over Mike Kyle, and then finally went back into the UFC in 2014, where he got a decision win over Phil Davis, a first round knockout win over Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, then fought Alexander Gustafsson in his next fight, which he ended up winning by first round knockout. And in his next fight against Daniel Cormier for the light heavyweight championship, it was a vacant belt at the time, but Anthony Rumble Johnson ended up losing that fight by third round rear naked choke submission. Came back after that with a second round knockout over Jimmy Manuwa, a first round TKO over Ryan Bader, and then a first round knockout over Glover Teixeira, and then finally got that title shot against Daniel Cormier for their second encounter, but again ended up losing the fight by second round rear naked choke submission. And now he looks to come back after 3 years of not having any pro MMA fights against Yoel Romero with a nice win here inside of Bellator in this fight. Alright guys, so my only question for this fight is where is the fight truly going to be taking place? We already know Anthony Rumble Johnson is an amazing striker. 16 of his wins have come by knockout. That is all I need to say right there. 6 of his wins coming by decision. None of his wins coming by submission. This dude likes to keep the fight on the feet and likes to go for knockouts every single time he goes out there. I definitely think it's very possible for Anthony Johnson to get a knockout in this fight, but that's just the thing. It's going to be very tough if Yoel Romero does what I think he should do and he's utilized his wrestling in this fight. I really do think that he should just take down Anthony Johnson over and over again. Don't just lay on Anthony Johnson. That is obviously not going to be a good strategy for the fans, but try to get Anthony Johnson to the ground and go for a lot of ground and pound. Try to really inflict some damage on Anthony Johnson, so when the fight gets back up on the feet, Anthony Johnson will either be way too tired to land that big shot that will knock you out, or once the fight gets back on the feet, just go for another takedown again. Use those takedowns to better your striking, or use the takedowns to tire Anthony Johnson out in the fight. And if Yoel Romero can successfully do that against Anthony Johnson in this fight, I will have no problem saying that Yoel Romero will win the fight by unanimous decision. Alright guys, if you agree with that prediction, or if you disagree with that prediction, I don't really care. Make sure to put your prediction in the comment section below. I'd love to see what you guys think is going to happen in this fight. Make sure to like the video if you do like the video, and subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss when I post a new video. That would be absolutely insane if you ended up doing that. So make sure to subscribe. I'm out of here.